Good evening, everyone. Welcome to meeting of New Jersey Electric Vehicle Association. My name is Stan Jaracz, and today is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. We have wonderful program today, and if you would like to scroll through the deck at your own pace, please scan the QR code and access the deck at your own convenience. I just want to remind everyone that we have sponsor at level 2 level. It is Signature Detailing of New Jersey. If you would like to have your vehicle touched up, they are available for us at 10% discount for all New Jersey EVA members. If you would like to become a member, go to myeva.org and you can join. More on that shortly. So today, I'm going to talk about new member updates. I'm going to talk also about some news within New Jersey and nationally. I have a short 2025 report and plans for 26. We have listed Ashley Lynn Kwa to give few words as she just became EVA board director, but she just called sick. So unfortunately, next time. Our invited speaker is Tony Nisam, and he's going to talk about adventures with his BrightDrop van. BrightDrop is a sub-brand from Chevy, and it is electric camper van and mobile office. He works at Orange EV. And then I'll talk about next meetings and stuff. So let's get into it. For those of you who are new to the series, I just want to say something about New Jersey Electric Vehicle Association. We are one of the chapters of the Electric Vehicle Association. Our mission is to educate and advocate for the rapid adoption of electric vehicles. EVA was formerly EAA, Electric Auto Association, and it's North America's largest nonprofit organization that accelerates the adoption of electric vehicles. And there are about 100 chapters and thousands of members. As a matter of fact, we have like 25,000 subscribers, and we educate in our communities about the benefits of driving electric. We are involved in countless initiatives and projects throughout the United States. Again, if you'd like to join or donate, we are 501c3. And you would follow myeva.org to become a member. New Jersey EVA website is jerseyeva.org. So what are the news? The first I want to start, which actually I already started, that Ashley Lynn Kwa, our policy lead, became the first New Jersey resident elected to the EVA board of directors. We are very excited about it. And Ashley is now serving in the communications and fundraising committee. So she's in two committees at the same time. Ashley has rich history, professional history in the field of electric vehicles. She started at DEP, then she spent some time at Charge EVC. Then at Board of Public Utilities, where she authored most of the EV regulations here in New Jersey. And now she's at SIPA. She was also awarded Young Professional of the Year in 2025 during the annual meeting of EVA. New Jersey DEP recently announced approval of electric school bus grants worth 32 million. We actually have feet at least in one of them because I was assisting Mercy Trans in my township with which they collectively submitted application with Franklin Board of Ed, and they got granted 2 million for 6 electric school buses. So I'm very excited about it. I also noticed that YouTubers, except of one, actually continue being very aggressive and when it comes to supporting electric vehicles. And they continue to report on EV-related business positively. I notice Kim Java has Chinese vehicles that I don't know how she gets them to United States, but she is able to do some reviews. Brownlee, he's located here in New Jersey. He's very active. Marquez Brownlee, yeah. Um, uh, the British Robert Llewellyn, his channel is also doing very well. So and there are some others. I want to also highlight that here in New Jersey we have prices of electric vehicles quite low already. If you go to cars.com and you just specify that you want to have electric vehicle without any other brand designation, you can actually realize that there are within the new vehicle categories, there are some that start at $20,000, and these are old model year overstock. One of them was Chevy Bolt EV or EUV, and but if you look into 25 and 26 models, they start at 29,000, and that's pretty amazing. Some of them are located out of state, in Pennsylvania, for example. But this is pretty amazing that lots of base models are actually cheaper than gas cars. Stellantis officially killed all plug-in hybrids for now. So Jeep Wrangler, Jeep Cherokee, and Chrysler Pacifica e-hybrid. That Pacifica e-hybrid has been on market for many, many years. So now they are gone for now. Not related to electric vehicles, but in a related category because it's about renewable energy, is that New Jersey passed in December smart solar permitting law. And this is a big achievement because there were lots of cases that solar applications were denied for reasons that have nothing to do with the solar system, like because somebody had illegal shed on their property, which is completely unrelated. So those red tapes will be removed, and the smart solar permitting will be actually electronic permitting. And they say about 80% of applications will be applied, will be granted pretty much instantly. So this is very exciting. Today, new governor for New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, was sworn. We are very excited about it. She will focus on affordable electricity, which is good for electric owners. However, the attitude towards pro-EV policy has not been disclosed yet. So we are still awaiting what will happen. Membership updates. Lots of exciting news because we took advantage of the grant that was available before it was clawed back by Trump administration with two events in September, one in West Windsor that was led by Andy Samsu, and one in Newark that was that I was leading. And part of those were allocations for new memberships. So let me read new members. Dean Bandila, he's actually, he drives a Rivian, and he has been a supporter of our organization for many, many years. Fatma Bey, she's from New Jersey Clean Cities Coalition. Maria Brimat, John Brown, Sean Castellano, he's from Ridewise, and he's on the call. Thank you, Sean. Fabian Chan, Richard Cohn, Mark Dweck, Anthony Esposito. Anthony Esposito is from one of the dealers. Ben Forrest, Robert Glover, Robert Golden, and Sharon Golden. They came to West Windsor event from Pennsylvania, and very, very exciting. Jamal Herald, Craig Johnson, Ellen Kemp. Ellen Kemp brought her Chevy Equinox to Newark event, and she offered that vehicle for test drives, and it was one of the most popular vehicles. I would say it was the most popular at that time because Chevy has clean brand, and Chevy Equinox is the most affordable across the board. So there are two pros for that vehicle. Now we will have Chevy Bolt, which will be the most affordable Chevy. We are very excited about it. David Kim, he was also in Newark, and he drives a Hyundai Ioniq. Howlin, William McQuaid, Sarah O'Leary, Lauren Reed, Brian Russo, James Sedlak, Agata Sochacka-Coutinho, Ernest Soriano. He also brings his Chevy Bolt to various events, and he was in Newark. James Stewart. James has a business. He manufactures mobile charging units as a trailer. It is high speed, actually, DC fast charging unit on trailer, and it is powered through engine, and the engine is fueled with propane, with clean propane. So it's very exciting. He brought this device to Sustainable Jersey Summit, and some vehicles were able to get charged because of that. Garrett Sudez, Tamer Tufik, Ronald Tuff, Reverend Tuff. He's associated with Green Faith. He was very supportive during the event in Newark. Dana Vopel, I think she brought, and her family brought 3 electric vehicles to Newark. It was a Jeep Wrangler plug-in hybrid and 2 electric bikes. One of them was a converted bike. Very exciting. Winnie Fred Victor Hines. She is representing the Weequahic Park Association, and she was our a very important partner in Newark because it was in that park, and we needed to fix certain things and get permission to have the event and test drive there. Brian Yee, and we have also renewals. Alexander Brown, he's our longest standing member, probably. He was a vice president for many, many years, and he's still there. So thank you. Robert Daly, thank you for your renewal. Robert drives, and I should say, Alexander, he drives Ioniq 5 as a main vehicle. Robert drives electric Genesis. David Dragonetti, also many years of support. He drives several electric vehicles. One of them is Nissan Ariya. Sarah Heller, she's the teacher at Raritan Valley Community College. She has a program where she's educating new technicians for vehicles, now for electric vehicles. Caroline McCallum, director from New Jersey Clean Cities Coalition. Lindsay McDowell, Richard Miller, hello, you are
Hi.
here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Tom Malagany, he's the YouTuber at State of Charge YouTube channel. Everybody knows him, I suppose. Michael Moy, he drives a Lucid, have very good attendance. You know, we have Lucid in our events because of Mike, period. Francis Beverly, Linda Rockmaker, and Anthony Witkowski. Anthony has always the most shining vehicle because he is polishing it for every event. Okay, I think it took a little bit longer, but that's because we have lots of new members. 2025 NJEVA report. This is a little bit tricky chart. I started doing it actually a year ago, and the way how I'm pulling the data together is that it's just based on event count. Not perfect. You can see that apparently in 25 we got some decrease, just like in 24, in what could be counted as outreach, but what this chart doesn't show is the true impact, which is how many people are exposed to our events. And I can tell you that even though we have numerically less ride and drives in 25, which appears to be the same as 24, we certainly got more people behind the wheel of electric vehicles, and we got more impact definitely in this department. We also ramped up our first responder EV awareness program. This is the orange part. And we have pretty good consistency in our virtual meetings. And our in-person meetings that we have now are much more impactful, because in 25 we had 2 in-person events, and one of them in February was appreciation dinner, where we have got the number close to 50 people. And in August, we had Kilowatt Cookout. And I think we had even more people, and we had visitors from New York State. So that was quite exciting. That event was organized by Ashley. So what's up for 2000? Yes, and one more report for 25 is our membership base. In 25, we got pretty substantial boost. Now we have 95 active members, and we have over 1,100 subscribers and counting. So we are very excited about it. So what's up for 2026? Well, I just drafted new bylaws, and the NJEVA core group is going to look into that. We have meeting in 2 weeks. Then most likely we want to have it voted by all NJEVA members. And then we will have board elections. We'll have new leadership, hopefully by second quarter this year. Speaking of events, we want to focus on new venues. We mentioned it a year ago, but we want to mention it again. We want to encourage existing partners to become more or less independent and organize electric vehicle shows independently. We want to continue first responder EV awareness program with Mike Hornsby, but we want to add more partners beyond Easy Ride. We want to enhance work with dealers and individuals within the dealership world. And the reason I'm thinking about it is because the last quarter, some dealers who were selling electric vehicles were impacted by the slump. And I know that some people were laid off, in Polestar at least. And I think we need to figure a way how to appreciate them as just one of those activities with dealers, which I would say former dealers, but those who are former dealers, they are still looking for opportunities. And we want to leverage tighter relationship with the Electric Vehicle Association now that we have our own representation. So that is it. If you have any questions regarding that, I would ask that we hold off until the end of the presentation, because now I would like to introduce Tony Nisam from Orange EV. And Tony, I realized that I'm not ready with your bio. Let me see if I can quickly find it on my phone. I found Tony on LinkedIn. He's one of the more active EV advocates, and he recently started job at Orange EV, and he's going to talk about it as well. Tony, why don't you take it away?
You're on mute, Tony.
Of course I am. Thanks. Thanks, Dan, for the intro, and great to meet you all. in my previous roles, I used to get out to New Jersey a lot. I used to work closely with Chuck Feinberg and Caroline McCallum at the New Jersey Clean City Coalition, as well as Empire Clean Cities in New York, because we all know that New York and New Jersey have been leading electrification on the East Coast. So I used to work for a company called Motive Power Systems. They changed their name to Motive Electric Trucks, and they just recently merged with a company called Workhorse. But I used to support our dealer, Hudson County Motors in Secaucus. And there are quite a few Motive electric trucks and school buses and shuttle buses and whatnot across New York and New Jersey. And then we had our most recent election, and that really took the wind out of the sails for a lot of EV OEMs. And I found myself and my entire team laid off. And so then I pivoted into the clean energy space, worked with a small startup doing similar to what you mentioned, Stan, mobile power generation, in our case, powered by a natural gas generator. And the whole idea there was to address locations that are suffering what we call charging deserts or temporary charging needs while you're waiting for a utility to get you the power you need to scale your fleet. And then about 5 months ago, I joined Orange EV. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Orange EV, but it's a pretty interesting company. Actually, let me go ahead and pull up I do have a little deck, and I promised Stan that I would not bore you all with a long, boring deck, but I do think a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So Orange EV, these are these, people don't see these very often, right? There's a lot of names for these kinds of trucks. They're called yard dogs, yard goats, yard hostlers, shunt trucks, terminal tractors, a lot of different names for them. But basically, these are the workhorse type trucks that move containers and trailers around ports and rail yards and distribution centers, etc. And it's hold on, let me see how I can advance this. There we go. Okay. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Although if anybody's interested in talking about yard trucks, I'm happy to entertain any questions anybody has, or I'll share this deck, or I think Stan will share this deck out across the group. But what I wanted to talk about today, and you can see behind me this picture, I just got back from Canada with this BrightDrop van. And this BrightDrop I bought at the end of summer. So I bought it in August, and it's my first EV. So I know many of you are EV veterans and have tons of experience around how to charge and maximize your ROI and your TCO for your EVs. For me, it's funny because I've been selling electric commercial vehicles for 6 years, but this is the first EV that I've owned myself. I always felt a little hypocritical because as you can see on the deck, my daily driver used to be that diesel Sprinter van. You see my two dogs, I call them my branch managers, standing in front of the diesel Sprinter van. It always seemed a little weird to show up to a client site trying to sell them an electric truck, but I'm driving a diesel. So when I joined Orange EV as the regional manager for the Pacific Northwest, I decided, hey, it's time for me to buy an EV and walk the walk, talk the talk. And if you guys know anything about the BrightDrop, it is GM's effort to compete in the commercial high roof delivery van space. Everybody's probably seen the Rivian EDV that Amazon has everywhere. Those have scaled and they're very popular and very successful. GM started this company, BrightDrop, as an independent organization, but that had the funding and access to engineering and supply chain of GM. And those of you who know about GM EVs, most GM EVs are built on what they call the Ultium platform. The Ultium platform is basically a common standard for batteries, power components, motors, etc. So they've really achieved a better cost structure than, say, Ford, or as Stan mentioned, Stellantis is now, they're backpedaling. Ford just canceled the Ford Lightning. GM, unfortunately, canceled this BrightDrop a couple months ago because they invested about $1 billion to, set up the company, design this truck, set up manufacturing in Canada, retool an entire plant. And then frankly, most folks have never seen a BrightDrop because GM really didn't do much in the way of sales and marketing, which is very unfortunate. Because I'm in the EV space, like I've seen they unveiled it back in 2021. So the truck's been around for a long time, but it didn't make it to Chevy dealers until late 2024. And honestly, by then it was too little too late. And the other funny thing is most GM dealers didn't want to have anything to do with it. Most commercial truck dealers, they make more money, more revenue on service and maintenance of diesel and gasoline work trucks than they do on the margin when they sell the truck. And a lot of these dealers recognize, including the dealer that I bought this truck from, he's like, cool, shook my hand, says, I'll never see you again. Because he understands that these trucks, like most EVs, are so, the maintenance requirements are so little, which has been true so far. I've got about 8,000 miles on this van so far. And, by this time, if it was gas or diesel, I would have had to do an oil change. I would be getting close to having to do a fuel filter. The transmission, usually that's around 20,000 miles. But on this electric van, the first real scheduled maintenance is a coolant flush at 150,000 miles. Between 0 to 150,000 miles, you do, your periodic checks, maybe change the cabin air filter, change the windshield wipers, maybe change the tires. I mean, the tires aren't going to last 150,000 miles. But long story short, so what you see on my slide here, I did the quick math on just the cost to drive my diesel Sprinter versus the cost to drive this electric BrightDrop van. And they're both roughly the same size vehicle. The BrightDrop's actually a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier. But I'm using numbers. I'm based in Seattle, Washington, so I'm using local numbers. Our diesel costs in Washington right now are around $4.80 a gallon, so pretty expensive diesel. But one thing that's really nice about the Pacific Northwest is we have a ton of hydro, and that's part of why Boeing set up shop here. Many, many years ago, they looked at the whole country and said, who has the cheapest electricity? It was Seattle. So my off-peak rate to charge here through Seattle City Light is 8 cents a kilowatt hour. And I get the BrightDrop is a big, heavy van. I'm averaging about 1.6 miles per kilowatt. And the diesel Sprinter on the highway, I'll get maybe 18 or 19 miles per gallon. So you can do the math. Basically at $4.80 a gallon diesel, it's costing me about 28 cents a mile to drive that diesel, and just fuel, just talking fuel. We're not talking maintenance. Versus the BrightDrop, which if I can charge it at home off peak at 8 cents a kilowatt hour, that comes out to basically a nickel a mile. So I still have the Sprinter, but it's not seeing much use because the delta between the cost to drive the diesel Sprinter versus the electric BrightDrop is massive, of course. And then the other thing is, frankly, driving the electric van is more pleasant. Not having a transmission, again, I'm probably preaching to the choir because I think most of you are already EV owners, but it's been really a pleasure just seeing how smooth this van is. And then the picture behind me, like I said, I just came back from Canada. I'm a skier, so I go up to the mountains a lot. And seeing how surprisingly well this van does in snow and ice. It's all-wheel drive, which is kind of cool. I think it's the only electric vehicle of its size that is all-wheel drive. I think the only other van that you can get in North America that has an all-wheel drive option is the Volkswagen Buzz, which is also a cool van, but very expensive and a little too small for my needs. Because what I've done, hold on, let me flip through my slides here. Here's a few more pictures. So what I've done is I put a couple of windows in the back. It's huge. It's about 600 cubic feet of area in the cargo space. So I have enough room back there for a queen size bed and a really nice office. So I use this as a mobile office and sort of a recreational vehicle. So I'll travel around the Pacific Northwest going to customer sites, and it's always a fun way to start a conversation. If I'm going to a site like couple of weeks ago, I visited a big Georgia Pacific paper mill down on the Oregon, on the Columbia River, on the Oregon-Washington border. And it's fun when I show up in this vehicle because it's a great way to start the conversation. Because I show up in this vehicle, nobody's ever seen a BrightDrop. There are not that many of them on the road. They're quite rare in the Pacific Northwest. So it's a fun way to start the conversation because people are always like, "What are you driving?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, this is my electric BrightDrop van." And most folks are like, "What in the world? I've never heard of it. I've never seen it." And so we start the conversation around this vehicle and why did I buy it and why do I like driving it. And I talk about, how much cheaper it is to operate versus my diesel Sprinter, how much better it performs, et cetera, et cetera. And then I use that as a way to pivot the conversation towards their business, right? And so I'm there to talk about their big Class 8 diesel yard trucks, which burn 2 to 3 gallons of diesel an hour and are very, very high maintenance. And have that same conversation around, okay, you're paying $4 to $5 a gallon for diesel. You're burning 2 or 3 gallons an hour. So your cost to operate is, somewhere between 10 to 15 bucks an hour just for fuel. And then talk about service, maintenance, uptime, et cetera. And then pitch the electric upgrade. I call it an upgrade. I said, you've been operating these diesels. They're expensive to operate. They break a lot. They're horrible for the health of the drivers because yard trucks are slow. They tend to max out at a speed of 18 to 25 miles per hour. So the guys that drive, and I say guys, I've never met a female yard hostler. I'm sure they exist, but I've yet to meet one. But they drive around in these trucks all day, usually an 8-hour shift, and they're basically driving around in a cloud of diesel smoke. And at the end of the day, they stink of diesel. And it's one of the things, the first things that they comment when they get to pilot or demo an NJEVA electric yard truck. At the end of the day, they're like, "Wow, I don't smell like diesel." And then, as is often the case, once they get a case for electric, they don't want to go back to diesel. So, long story short, yeah, this BrightDrop has been a fantastic vehicle for me, for my family, for my dogs. Let me see what other slides that I put in here. Oh, I did. Okay. I forgot I put some pictures at the inside. So I've been converting it myself. The first picture on the left is just an empty cargo van. That's all it is. Just 600 cubic feet of blank space. I insulated it with 2 inches of closed cell Artec insulation, built a Murphy bed. So that's a bed that folds down so that I can walk through the van, because unlike, say, a Ford Transit or a Mercedes Sprinter or a Dodge ProMaster, there are no doors on the side. So you're either getting in it from the front or the back. And I didn't want to have to crawl over a bed. So I built this Murphy bed. But then there's also plenty of room for, basically, you see that desk there. I have those on both sides. Those are just drop down desks or tables, if you will. So I can work on either side. I put some windows in. These pictures were a few months ago. The van is a little more buttoned up now, as far as, the walls are done. The ceiling is almost done. And then I do have plans in the spring to cover the roof in solar. And I'm toying with the idea of, getting a 48 volt inverter, charge controller, and building a decent sized battery bank, and then seeing how feasible it would be to charge the traction battery using an AC charger off of a decent sized battery bank. And based on my math, and I'm not an engineer, but there's about 200 square feet of roof space on this van. So if I covered the entire 200 square feet of roof space in the most efficient panels available, on the longest, sunniest days of summer, I ought to be able to generate between 25 to 30 miles of range a day. Might not do me much good here in Washington, but if I head south to California, Arizona, Utah, etc., I think I could see a lot of benefit for doing that. What else? Okay, and then the other slides in this deck are really all about NJEVA, but basically what I wanted to communicate with this presentation is that the benefits of going electric for passenger car, or in this case van, really do translate over to the commercial fleet space. I mean, commercial fleets are measuring their cost per mile, and they quibble over pennies. If they can improve their fuel efficiency by 1%, that will earn the fleet manager a nice bonus. And what I tell these guys, I said, hey, what if I could show you a truck that will cut your fuel bill by 90%? And usually they don't believe me. They're like, no, that's not possible. And then I say, well, let's go back to this slide. I create a slide like this, but I put their diesel yard truck next to an electric yard truck. And I do the math and I show them, hey, this is what you pay for diesel. This is what you pay for electric. Let's do the math. And it's usually between, depends on what part of the country, but here in the Pacific Northwest, where diesel is relatively expensive and electricity is quite cheap, we can usually get to within 80 to 90% cost savings. I don't know, Stan, how much time I have to talk, because I
tell you,
I
we
can
are
talk and
at
talk and
least
talk.
I am having a great time. I love what you say and how you say it, really.
Okay, cool. I'm happy to open this up to questions if anybody has questions. What's really sad, though, is that GM has killed the BrightDrop. Just as it was finally starting to get some traction. Amazon finally ordered a bunch, because Amazon, they've been scaling their Rivian van fleet quite aggressively, but what they've realized that there are certain locations in the United States where the Rivian EDV doesn't have the range to complete some of the routes that they have. And one of the nice things with the BrightDrop is it comes with the option of a much larger battery. The biggest battery available in this van is 173 kilowatt hours. And so that translates to almost 300 miles of range. And the average Amazon route is 50 miles, but they do have some rural routes that are longer. And so Amazon did, right before GM pulled the plug on this van, Amazon did buy some. And so you may see some Amazon branded BrightDrop vans rolling around. The other big company that bought quite a few is FedEx. You may have seen some FedEx branded BrightDrop vans rolling around. There's a lot in California, and I believe there are some deployed in New Jersey and New York as well.
Tony, just a quick question. Do you remember the range on those Rivians for Amazon?
I'm trying to remember I could look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's it's really built for urban use. It's built for, relatively short routes. It's optimized for that.
It was designed by custom order, essentially.
Amazon took a 30% stake in Rivian. And they had exclusive rights to the first 100,000 units. And then now Rivian has, because actually Amazon didn't quite meet their commitment, they got out of that agreement, and now any fleet can order the Rivian van through Rivian's fleet team. They're not available to the general public. They only sell them to businesses. That was part of the problem with the BrightDrop as well early on, is that GM was only selling it business to business, and they were really aiming at DHL, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, etc. And then smaller fleets and individual consumers like myself, we couldn't buy them. And it wasn't until, like I said, late 2024 when GM realized, oh, gee, they built a lot of them. They were sitting on a lot of inventory, and they weren't getting the big orders they had hoped they'd get from FedEx and Amazon, etc. So in late 2024, that's when they decided to make them available through Chevy commercial truck dealers.
Yeah, I actually reached out to BrightDrop as well, because through my job at Easy Ride, I was looking for options for a passenger version. Just like, you didn't mention Ford E-Transit, which is also in that space, even though it is smaller, yes, but there are retrofitters who will turn the cutaway from electric Ford E-Transit into passenger version, and it has 11 seats plus driver.
Yeah, I've seen small Type A school buses built on the E-Transit chassis. And this is the funny thing, is that the Ford E-Transit is a compromise of a vehicle, right? It's a gasoline vehicle that Ford repowered. So there are some sacrifices there as far as efficiency and range, but it sells really well because for fleets that were already operating transits, they're like, okay, it's still a transit. It's just instead of putting gas in it, I plug it in.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
operationally, it's very easy for fleets to add that type of vehicle. Whereas the BrightDrop, frankly, is a bit of an exotic looking. Hold on, where is it? Well, I don't have. Okay, anyway, these pictures. It's a bit of an exotic looking vehicle, and so when people see it, they're like, "Oh, what is this thing?"
It's not exotic enough. I mean, the shape communicates more about efficiency because of the front shape, right? You have better aero. Guys, if you have a question, I suggest that you unmute because I'm not that good at reading messages. Ken, you are saying which manufacturers apart from Rivian will step up to fill this market? Are there Chinese manufacturers developing these types of vehicles? Well, of course, Chinese, they already have them, if you ask me to answer, but I think the 100% tariff applies to them. Tony, what do you think?
So interestingly, Waymo is importing Zeekr electric cars from China because even with the 100% tariff, they are apparently still cost competitive. So we're going to start seeing more Waymo autonomous Zeekr vehicles on the roads. I don't know if there's any rolling around New Jersey yet, but
BrightDrop, yes, I have seen one, not on the road, but on in a Madison EV show. Somebody brought it in. But speaking of Chinese, so I've heard some stories that in the southern part of our nation,
Democrats are divided on the issue. So the big question is whether the states that allow transgender participation.
Who is showing us sound?
That's Alex. There we go. Alex muted himself. Okay. No, you're quite right, Stan, because if any of you guys have been to Mexico lately, Mexico is awash in Chinese vehicles. BYD, Huawei, Xpeng, etc. They are importing. They're importing huge volumes of their cars into Mexico, and what's happening is people are driving those across the border, and so we're seeing more and more of them, especially in Southern California, in like San Diego and LA.
And I've heard analysis by Michael Dune, which you probably know. And he said that, okay, we have 100% import tax for Chinese vehicles, but we have only 25% import tax on used Chinese vehicles. And it's a matter of policy that Chinese could label a new electric car as used.
Yeah. Interesting.
But the other, and it's a technical comment, is that their charging protocol is different. And so you would need adapter to use American system.
I was curious about that because, like Europe is CCS, but not CCS1 like we have. Yes, CCS2. So it is a different plug. And
they have 3 phases. So what we have as a J1772, which is 2 opposite phases, and you can use it either for 120 or 240. They have 3 distinct phases. Each of them has 220 volts. And if you have a system that is capable of delivering for each phase 6 kilowatts. For us, we have 6 kilowatts kind of routine level 2. And now, of course, it's more, but you multiply 6 by 3 and you get 18, close to 19 kilowatts just from essentially level 2 charging, because you have 3 AC phases and you put them all together, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and then speaking to what other electric vans are available in North America right now, there's, we talked about the Ford E-Transit, the Rivian EDV. Mercedes-Benz has the E-Sprinter, which is a pretty decent van. And then Dodge has launched an electric version of the ProMaster. So there are other options out there. I'm just sad because the BrightDrop and the Rivian are the only ones that are like, built from the ground up, purpose-built electric vehicles. And so, as a result, they're the most efficient. And the amount of technology that they put into the BrightDrop was really, really impressive. I love it doesn't have the GM Blue Cruise, so it doesn't have hands-free driving, but it has, the adaptive cruise control and the lane assist and a whole bunch of safety features that I was quite pleasantly surprised they added to a commercial van.
There is another pitfall with the tariffs because, it's built in Canada. You want to import it in the United States. I mean, what is the current tariff status? I lost track, but it's at least 10 or 25%.
Who knows? To your point, it changes so often that I do not know what it is at this present time.
But they do have overstock, am I right?
Yeah. So last I heard, GM is still sitting on about 5,000 units. So yeah, they're still selling them. It's just it's a vehicle that's been discontinued. But people ask me like, oh, what are you going to do when it breaks? How are you going to get parts? And I said, well, it's got the standard GM, 8-year, 100,000-mile electric powertrain warranty, and that powertrain is basically the same powertrain that you find in the Silverado EV and the Hummer EV and several other. Yeah. So I'm optimistic, hopefully.
And General Motors has very good history of fulfilling customers' promise because I mentioned that I have Chevy Bolt. I have actually 2 Chevy Bolts. And 2017, those are 2017 models. And, a few of them caught fire and they said, listen, okay, we'll replace battery for all of them and we'll give you the newer model. So your range will go up. So, got new battery and new battery means new car for electric vehicle. So it's just unbelievable. One of them has 120,000 miles. The other one has close to 80,000.
Yeah.
And, if I'm a guy who wants to drive a new car once in a while, I would probably sell them. But I am not. And if I want to wait until I have serious mechanical issue, then I just don't see this coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
Number one reason for me to get a new car is that I actually total one, So
yeah, I mean that's one of the common anti-EV tropes is that, oh, what are you going to do when you have to buy a new battery, right? And I have to say, in my last 3 roles, when I was at Motive Power Systems, when I was at L-Charge, and now at Orange EV, I still get inquiries from companies like Redwood Materials and others who are trying to find batteries to recycle. And their big struggle is that batteries are lasting way longer than anybody expected them to. Yeah. And the newer the battery, the better the life expectancy. Just as far as the technology keeps getting better, right? As we move from NMC to NCA to LFP. We don't have yet in the US, I don't think anybody is selling any EVs with sodium ion batteries. But
China does, but I don't know. It has low power density, energy density. And speaking of environmental impact, I mean, if you do not put any precious metal in the battery, what is the motivation to actually recycle it?
True, because lithium is so incredibly cheap right now.
Well, right now it's getting a little bit more expensive, but they will ramp up production and it will come back. The thing is that the traditional technology for it's not mining, it's extracting lithium from the brine or from the spodumene, but from the brine it takes years and lots of land to isolate it. So the delay between the investment and the market is substantial. So that's why we have such a big swings. And lithium was expensive in 21, 22 because there was a depression in 2020 because of pandemic. Yeah. And then in 22 or 21 they scaled up production, and in 23, 24 prices collapsed, right? And now, because we have artificial decrease in sales because of the administration is just doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So you can expect market disruption, the supply chain disruption again.
Yeah.
But I recently read article that someone discovered new resources of lithium. I think in Germany.
I mean, lithium is a very, very common element. It's not like we're going to run out. It's just a question, to your point, Stan, of how, what's the most cost-effective way to extract it? Is it brine? Is it mining? You can even extract it from ocean water, right? I mean, there's the ocean is.
Nah, that's not a more efficient, because sodium prevails pretty heavily in ocean. It's more difficult.
But I'm saying if it's like with oil, right? Now we're fracking because we can't just drill a well and extract liquid petroleum anymore. So we're fracking. But the economics of it, oil has to be above $50 a barrel for it to make sense. And when we start stealing oil from Venezuela and drive the cost of crude down, all of a sudden fracking is no longer profitable. So
yeah, well, it gets quite complicated. But as you know, oil or gas is burned once.
Yeah,
that's it. But the lithium that we extract, first of all, the percentage in battery for lithium is quite small. It's about 2%, 3% by mass, because it's light and because just the way how it is. At some point when the battery is decommissioned or the vehicle, the lithium is still there. And it might be as well more economic to mine lithium from old batteries versus mine it from natural resources. So it is just inherently much more sustainable. Now we are talking about lithium. Lithium is the driving metal. Speaking of the energy storage, but by mass, much more is cathode, and cathode is metals, and that's where lots of tweaks have been happening over the last 10-15 years, because the original lithium-ion battery had cathode made only from cobalt oxide, and because of electric vehicles and economy of scale, what scientists discovered that if you replace great portion of cobalt with nickel and manganese, but particularly nickel, which is more it's more affordable, then energy density goes up, power density, and the fact that you don't have the problematic metal cobalt, because mostly it's mined in Democratic Republic of Congo, which is has nothing to do with democracy, but this is the name. So, and now, of course, it's LFP, which is lithium iron phosphate, which has the most affordable metal, iron. A phosphate is used as a fertilizer, right? So then the more expensive part for those batteries are the current collectors, because it's copper. So, and you need to have copper for those batteries. Some of them, they have great amount of aluminum as a replacement for copper, but you cannot go around without copper. Speaking of electric vehicles as such, the motor, power electronics, tons of copper in them. So
that's why I pulled up this slide just to highlight the fact that NJEVA, NJEVA has been around for 10 years, and they started from day one with LFP batteries, which 10 years ago were very considered somewhat exotic and experimental. But they made a really smart choice by starting with LFP. A lot more charge cycles. We have trucks that have been on the road for 10 years with the original LFP packs that are still rolling. They haven't lost, an appreciable amount of state of health. And then the other thing is, getting away from the controversy around cobalt, because that is a controversial mineral, just the way it's sourced. And then lastly, safety. LFP is a much more stable chemistry. And again, knock on wood, what's the stat here? 8.9 million operating hours, and we've never experienced a thermal runaway. And it's not for lack of trying, because yard trucks get abused. We've had forklifts come and puncture battery packs. That's probably the worst abuse they've ever suffered. And it does happen, but never, knock on wood, never had one catch on fire.
Okay, I have been talking too much, guys. Questions from the audience?
Yes, Tony, we do have another question in the chat. Can you talk a little bit about what was your charging experience on your travels?
Yeah, so pretty fun, because like I said, I mostly try to charge at home as much as I can, because you can't beat 8 cents a kilowatt hour. But I do go out and occasionally, try public chargers just to see how it works, what works, what doesn't work. One of the cool things is GM has partnered with Tesla and a bunch of other charge point operators, CPOs, to support the ISO, what is it? ISO
15118, the plug and play.
15118, yeah, plug and charge, which is super cool. So when I bought the van, I had to install the My Chevrolet app, set up a payment method, and then I can just plug and charge at Electrify America, EVgo, Tesla, Iona, a bunch, right? Which is pretty cool. That's a game changer compared to when I used to work at Motive. I would take their trucks around and sometimes have to charge, and every time install it.
What is the maximum fast charging rate?
The max rate on this van is not that high. It's 120 kilowatts.
That's not that bad.
Well, fortunately, I have an office and a bed in the back, so it's fine. And my dogs, I just use it as an opportunity. I'll take the dogs for a 20-30 minute walk, and 30 minutes is enough to usually get me to where I'm going.
Does it have preheat option that it would heat up the battery?
The preconditioning, it'll precondition. But it's so far I've never had any struggles hitting that 120 kilowatt max charge rate, because usually if I'm plugging into a Tesla V3 or V4, those are what are they, 250 or 350 maximum power. So hitting 120 is not hard for most DC fast chargers these days. What I did learn is that Canada, well, specifically British Columbia, their charge prices are a lot less than Washington or Oregon. And I credit that to BC Hydro. They have basically their standard rate is 35 cents Canadian per kilowatt hour at all of their DC fast chargers. And I think that has helped push down rates across other charge point operators in British Columbia. Now, it's probably different in other parts of Canada where maybe electricity isn't so cheap, but in British Columbia, it was surprisingly cheap. And I was pretty impressed by just the number of chargers deployed all over the place. I drove the Trans-Canada Highway 1 from Abbotsford up over the Canadian Rockies to Kamloops, and in the middle, like, there's nothing. There's no towns. There's no infrastructure. There's nothing. But right about in the middle, BC Hydro dropped a couple chargers, which is pretty cool, because there's a sign warning motorists like, hey, no facilities, no gas for the next 150 miles, or maybe it's kilometers. But at any rate, warning people, like, gas up now, because you're going to go through a long stretch with no infrastructure. But for whatever reason, BC Hydro, I think because they have hydro facilities along that highway, so it's not that hard for them to just tap into the power that they are already producing and drop DC fast chargers all over the place in some very rural spots. I was pleasantly surprised.
I had a question on did you have the 19 kilowatt onboard charger or the? Yeah,
I was lucky to get the faster one.
Have you tried overnight slow charging, and like, is that a useful? Because there's like a lot of free. You could almost cross the United States on free level 2.
I've I've done that. I mean, I posted on LinkedIn a while back. I was at a Seattle Transportation Club event at Evergreen College, and I got there. I'm like, oh, they have free level 2 chargers. Cool, right? And then it got me thinking. I'm like, how many free level 2 chargers are there? And it turns out there's quite a few. Like a lot of hospitals, libraries, municipal buildings, etc. So that was kind of an eye opener. And you can go into PlugShare and filter by free chargers. I was kind of surprised, like, why those chargers weren't occupied. I'm like, it's free energy. Why wouldn't people come and, take advantage of that? I haven't gone hunting enough to say whether, they're available or not.
Right.
But yeah,
well,
I know
you have to figure what to do, when you are on level 2.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I was out in New York last summer for a wedding, and I rented an EV, and you never know what you're gonna get, right? And they gave me a Mercedes EQS, which is a pretty damn nice car, and I drove it up to what's the name of that town? Any rate, I'm spacing the call. They had their wedding at the college that they went to, and that college had free level 2 chargers. So again, I was like, cool. It cost me almost nothing. I had to top it up before I dropped it off back at Newark before I flew out. But, that entire trip was basically almost free as far as fuel was concerned.
Yeah. The toll was more expensive, right?
Yeah. Yep.
On the solar part, I've got some direct 400 volt MPPTs that'll tie in, and the Maxwell company that converts the ProMasters, they built their own direct 400 volt MPPT, and they're willing to sell that separate from their vehicle too. I'm not like tying it into a vehicle and not voiding the warranty is kind of I don't know how that would shake down. If you could go to the DC fast charge port.
Yeah.
But
that's my concern, is why I'm not trying to charge directly from solar, is that I do think I would probably void the warranty,
right?
Which is not something I really want to risk.
Eli, do you have a BrightDrop?
No, I just have the
ProMaster.
I've in a chat with the guy at Maxwell that makes the
okay. You don't have specific
ProMaster.
vehicle to do,
Yeah, they're in LA, and they convert ProMasters to electric with a Tesla Model 3 drivetrain. Pretty cool company.
Interesting. How does that work now that they're selling electric ProMasters directly from Dodge Ram?
I don't know.
I mean, that's we talk about like EV companies that have come and gone. If any of you ever heard of Lightning E-Motors,
right?
They were doing the same thing. They were converting Ford Transits, right? They were electrifying Ford Transits, and their business was going okay until Ford decided, well, we're going to do it ourselves. And then all of a sudden, their core business just sort of evaporated. So that's another EV OEM or EV, we call them an upfitter or repower company that came and went.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very high failure rate sector to be in.
Very, very capital intensive. But I'll tell you one area where I'm surprised I haven't seen a company come in and really address this is electric school buses, because there are so many late model diesel school buses, which are, there's no rust on the frame. And it's not that hard to drop the engine and transmission out of a school bus and replace it with an electric powertrain. And the challenge is that we have a goal to decarbonize all school buses by, I don't know, depends who you talk to, right? But 2030, 2035. But the problem is, if you had every school bus OEM that makes electric school buses, so you're talking Thomas Built with their Julie, you're talking Bluebird, you're talking BYD, if all of them just produced only electric school buses, it would still take something like 15 years to to replace, because they just don't build that many in a year. So the question of, well, hey, if I have a diesel school bus and I want to repower it, who could do that for me?
Another challenge on the school buses is charging them and the way that districts run their routes.
Yeah.
Because some of them will have drivers take them home at night. And anyway, it's a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and your average bus barn has, they'll run a bus barn on a 200-watt, 200 amp panel, right?
Right.
They've never needed much power, so that's the other big challenge.
Guys, if you have any other questions, let's holding for later, because I have a few more slides that I mentioned. But I want to really thank Tony, because this was wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Here's my contact info. Like Stan said, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I like to just share, my personal experiences and insights and whatnot. So if anybody ever wants to reach out to me, you can
put it into
hit
chat.
me on. Yeah. So thanks a bunch, Stan.
Yeah, but stay tuned, because I have only a few messages.
Sure.
So next events, we have first responder EV awareness. Today is Tuesday. Okay, in 2 days, on Thursday, January 15th, in Emerson Fire Department. It's in Bergen County. We have 11 vehicles. We still have some space for more. Check out whether you have model that is not on the list. If you have Kias, Hyundais, Mercedes, Fords, we have Ford Lightning. One of them. We have 3 Teslas, we have Chevys, but we don't have many other brands. We don't have Honda. We don't have Volkswagen. So hit the link to register here. On Thursday, February 17th, the next event will be in Somerville Fire Department. They have beautiful new facility with 6 bays. That is more than a month ahead, so we have a bit more time. If you know of anyone who is interested to have the course, let them complete the form, and the application flyer is here. Speaking of next meetings, in February, we have John Volker, invited speaker, and on March 10th, we have Lauren McDonald. We are very fortunate this year. So I hope that you will join us again. And here are our partners: Sustainable Jersey, RideWise, Easy Ride, Go Hunterdon, Grace Mercer, TMAs. These are TMAs that I'm mentioning, Transportation Management Associations, as well as Tri-County Sustainability, Cross-Country Connection. Clean Cities, New Jersey Clean Cities Coalition, as I mentioned, Sierra Club, Charge EVC, New Jersey Coalition of Automotive Retailers, or NJ Car, DEP, Rivian, Lucid, Tesla Owners Club. Not Tesla, Tesla Owners Club. And sponsorship options, we have level 1 for $500, level 2 $1,000, and DC fast charging for $2,000. So that's it. And I'm going to end the recording now.